Late one evening, my phone rang. It was my buddy Max. The moment I heard his voice, shaky, strained, and barely holding it together, I knew something was wrong. He pleaded with me to meet him right away. No questions asked, I called out to my wife, "Let's call her Rachel," and told her I'd be back soon. She nodded from the kitchen, a soft smile on her face, unaware of the storm that was unraveling outside. I rushed downstairs. Max was already outside, pacing like a man on the edge, a cigarette burning between his fingers. His hands trembled. As soon as he saw me, he blurted it out. His wife had been cheating on him. The weight of that confession hit the night air like a gunshot. He looked utterly shattered, lost in a fog of confusion and heartbreak. I hesitated, unsure of what to say. "Man, I don't know if I'm the right person for this," I admitted. "I've never gone through anything like that. Maybe you just have to let her go. Find someone solid. Someone like," I paused. "Someone like Rachel." Oddly, those words seemed to steady him. For the first time that night, he exhaled fully, like he'd been holding his breath for days. A faint sense of peace settled over him. He started talking less about her, and more about himself, about moving forward. That was the first time I saw a flicker of hope return to his face. A few days later, a long weekend rolled in. It was around Veterans Day, and most of us had time off. That morning, a few of my old friends called and floated the idea of heading to a rented cabin for the break. Nothing fancy, just a place in the woods with a steam room and plenty of space to blow off steam. It sounded perfect. That night, I mentioned the plan to Rachel. She didn't seem to mind at all. "Go have fun," she said warmly. No hint of jealousy or concern. Just her usual, easygoing self. The next day, Max picked me up and we headed to the store. We might have gone overboard, bags of snacks, boxes of meat, cases of beer. Everything suggested a weekend of no rules and no responsibilities. That morning, 5 of us piled into a car and took off. We'd all been tight since childhood, so the laughter came naturally. Stories from the past filled the car, and the road trip flew by. By nightfall, the sun had vanished behind the treetops, and the drinks were flowing. Most of the guys, despite being married, showed no urgency to return home. That surprised me. I was the only one thinking about my wife. In fact, I started missing Rachel more than I expected. Out of a mix of boredom and longing, I called her. No answer. I tried again. Still nothing. A third attempt, silence. That uncomfortable feeling started to settle in my chest. Maybe she was upset that I left, especially with everything we'd been through. The years of trying to have a baby, the endless disappointments, the pain neither of us talked about out loud. We hadn't explored IVF. We just kept hoping it would happen naturally. Eventually she picked up. She sounded cheerful, said she was cooking and hadn't heard the phone ring. It made sense. She always liked to surprise me with something homemade after I returned from a trip. We talked briefly, and when I told her I'd be home around midnight, she seemed genuinely happy. Her voice eased the storm in my head. Later that night, I joined the guys in the steam room. The air was thick, both with heat and half-drunken bravado. They were tossing around stupid ideas, games to test their wives' loyalty. I laughed it off. "I trust Rachel. I've never had a reason not to," I said. That earned me a chorus of scoffs and mocking laughter. They called me naive, told me every man needed to be vigilant. That trust was a luxury we couldn't afford. I tried to shrug it off, but their words echoed louder than I wanted to admit. The mood had shifted, at least for me. I decided I'd had enough, and told them I was heading back early. They tried to convince me to stay, but I had promised Rachel I'd be back. And I meant it. The cab ride home was quiet, but my mind wasn't. Their cynicism had left a scar. Was it really that common? That accepted? Was I the fool for believing love could be simple, honest? When I finally stepped through the front door, Rachel beamed. She ran into my arms like I'd been gone for weeks. Her smile was pure, her joy felt real. That look in her eyes, it felt impossible to fake. I kissed her, convinced again that there was no way she could be cheating. We barely made it to the bedroom. The night was passionate, familiar, and comforting. She fell asleep on my shoulder, peaceful as ever. But I couldn't sleep. That creeping doubt was still there. Should I check her phone? Would that make me paranoid, or just cautious? After an hour of fighting with myself, I gave in. Just a glance, I told myself. I reached over to the nightstand and picked up her phone. That's when I saw it. An unfamiliar app, its icon small but glaring. My heart dropped. I tapped it open. And what I found knocked the air out of me. It was a dating app. A full profile under a fake name. Her inbox was flooded with messages. Ongoing conversations, graphic and explicit. Not just flings. Not just curiosity. This was active. And it had been going on for a while. There were even messages from earlier that very day. My body shook. Rage, disbelief, heartbreak, they hit all at once. I stumbled out of bed gasping for air. Every part of me burned. I grabbed her clothes, yanking them from drawers, stuffing them into suitcases. By sunrise, her bags were lined up at the door. I went back to the bedroom and woke her. She stretched and smiled, trying to curl against me. I pulled away and held up her phone. Her face went pale. Then came the lies. She claimed it was a friend's account. Said her friend had used her phone. She was quick with it, too quick. I'd once thought I was lucky, that I had something rare. But there she was, spinning lies in the same breath she'd kissed me with hours earlier. I pointed to the door. She cried, begged, pleaded. But I was done. I told her everything I'd bottled up, every heartbreak, every moment of doubt I had ignored. And then she was gone. The door shut behind her, and silence filled the room. The days after were rough. Rachel's mom called, screaming at me like I was the villain. I hung up. I didn't know them anything. My friends rallied around me. I expected mockery, but they surprised me. They supported me, offered help, even tried to set me up with women they knew. I wasn't ready. I smiled politely and declined. Then one day Rachel called. She was pregnant. I laughed bitterly. Of course she would say that. But she insisted the baby was mine. And maybe once, that would have meant the world to me. But not now. Not like this. We barely spoke again during her pregnancy. About 8 months later, I reached out. Told her I'd support the child if it was mine. She said not to bother. She had found someone else to be the father. All I said was, thanks for being honest. That was the last time we ever spoke. Months passed. On New Year's Eve, I went out with my friends to a buzzing restaurant, music, lights, contests, and dancing. The energy was wild. Dancers dressed as sultry Santa's helpers took the floor, full of charm and laughter. After their performance, I walked over and struck up a conversation. They were playful and warm, unsure at first, but eventually they joined us. We drank, laughed, danced. The night blurred into something out of a movie. The next morning, I woke up in bed. 2 dancers curled up beside me, their heads resting gently on my arms. I smiled to myself, closed my eyes again.